Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. So I've done a few videos on this subject matter before, but I think it's very important that I keep talking about this whenever I see something come up, because water is everything, ladies and gentlemen. Water is everything. And if you're drinking water and you unknowingly drink water that is contaminated, it can hurt you and it can hurt your family. So before I read this article, I just have to say that, in my opinion, all right, this is my opinion, but I think it's a good one. I think everyone should have a backup filtration system in their home that they use every day to filter or refilter, or whatever you want to call it, the water that you are consuming, that you are getting from wherever you're getting it from. All right, even if you're getting it from the city. Now, I know that we have a community member who works at a water treatment facility, and he told me once, he said, "Hey, AP, this water that we push out of this facility, this water, this water is used by my family, so I'm very confident that it's clean." And I believe him, you know, even though I'm not there drinking the water or testing water, I believe him. But the thing is what about those that are not like this gentleman? What about those facilities that are not like the facilities that this gentleman works in? All right. I can go through all of the horror stories that we've seen throughout the last few years. You know, the first one and main one that comes to mind is the one in Michigan, where the residents were being, told that the water that they were drinking was good, and that the state government knew the whole time that the water was not good, and because they needed to save money, or they didn't want to spend the money on the infrastructure. All right. And from my understanding, uh, they're still having problems with their water down there. Okay. And as far as the state government knowing that the water was not good, that's what I remember reading in some articles I read. And I do believe that none of those people uh, who knew that the water was bad and still kept allowing the citizens there, or the residents of that area, drink them, none of them have been prosecuted. I don't even know if any of them lost their jobs. So just be careful, ladies and gentlemen. I think that you should make cleaning your water, even now when times are quote unquote good, make sure that you're drinking and feeding your family clean water. Right? Now, you all saw how easy it was to make a DIY or DIY or DIY, a do-it-yourself Berkey system, all right, by getting two food-grade buckets and drilling a couple of holes and just pretty much getting the internal parts of the Berkey, that's sold separately from the whole system. You all saw how easy it is to make that. If you haven't, I'll leave a link, or I will leave a card, all right, in the upper right hand corner of this video, so you guys can go and take a look at that video at how easy it is to make one of those, and at about half or less than half the price of you buying one brand new. Okay, so let me go ahead and read this article. And it says, PFAS crisis expands as millions of Americans in 43 states are exposed to toxic chemicals. Tens of millions of Americans in 43 states may have been exposed to toxic fluorinated compounds known as PFAS in their drinking water. In a report from May, the nonprofit Environmental Working Group showed how PFAS had exposed upwards of 19 million Americans through contaminated groundwater. EWG, which is the Environmental Working Group, found 610 contaminated locations ranging from public water systems, military bases, military and civilian airports, industrial plants, dumps, and firefighter training sites. And here it says what PFAS, what you need to know. What are PFAS chemicals? Per N, I'm going to mess up these names, but PFAS are a group of man-made chemicals that include PFOA, PFOS, and Gen X chemicals Since the 1940s, PFAS has been manufactured and used in a variety of industries around the globe, including the United States. PFOA and PFOS have been the most extensively produced and studied of these chemicals, but both are persistent in the environment and in the human body. Exposure to certain PFAS can lead to adverse human health effects. Alrighty. Now, the Environmental Advocacy Group has identified 58 more military sites where high levels of PFAS used in firefighting foam have been detected in groundwater or drinking water, from Elmendorf Air Force Base and Fort Richardson, Alaska, to Fort Eustis, Virginia. So it's even up here, ladies and gentlemen. And I stopped drinking the water at my job because I work in a government facility. I stopped drinking the water there because I normally used to like drink coffee at my work, and then one day I just drank the water by itself, and I was like, wow, this water tastes terrible. So from now on, I just bring my own filtered water to work, and I don't drink the coffee at work anymore. I bring my own filtered water at work. It says here many of the new locations containing PFAS levels over 100 parts per trillion. The EPA and the Department of Defense have utterly failed to treat PFAS contamination as a crisis demanding swift and decisive action, said Ken Cook, president of EWG, in a statement announcing the additional contaminated sites. It's time for Congress to end new PFAS pollution and clean up legacy contamination, Cook said. For decades, the military and other civilian agencies used firefighting foam that contain PFAS. These dangerous chemicals are also in hundreds of everyday household products. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention has warned that the toxic chemicals are present in the blood samples of the general population. Prior studies have shown that dangerous chemicals have been linked to weakened childhood immunity, thyroid disease, cancer, and other major health issues. And just a side note, ladies and gentlemen, I remember in the past commenting on organic foods, and I've told some people that were really hung up on like, oh, you should be eating organic, you shouldn't be buying that stuff, usually on some of my old payday preps. And I'm like, you know, I don't really think that you can call anything nowadays organic, all right? Because you don't use the chemicals and things that, regular um, companies, I'll call it, agriculture companies use, right? Because if you have an organic garden, right, in your backyard, you're still getting rain from the air or from the sky, right? The air around you is still pretty much kind of polluted. If you're lucky, the groundwater under you doesn't have any pollutants, all right? So there's a lot of pollutants everywhere. I think the only way you can really, really call something organic is if you are growing that item or that produce in a self-contained environment where you know that the air is clean because it's filtered out, where whatever water you use, you know it's clean because you filter it out, where the dirt that you used to grow those produce is clean dirt because you yourself composted it and made it yourself in a clean environment. So I think that nowadays, for you to truly call something organic, it would take an awful lot of effort. However, I do understand where people come from when they say organic, which I'm sure that if you grow it yourself with non-GMO seeds and your own composted soil that you make yourself, even though it's out in the air, it's a lot better for you than the stuff that gets sprayed with chemicals and such. Let's see. The Center for Disease Control has warned that the toxic chemicals are present in the blood and samples of the general population. Prior studies have shown that dangerous chemicals have been linked to weakened childhood immunity, thyroid disease, cancer, and other major health issues. DoD officials are prioritizing cleanup operations for 401 of the sites, said Deborah Moorfield, manager of the Defense Environmental Restoration Program in the Office of the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Environment. The cleanup process occurred under a law known as the Comprehensive Environmental Response Compensation and Liability Act, or CERCLA, she said. It's a long process and it doesn't happen overnight. Under the new policy, the firefighting foam has been banned from training, maintenance, or testing exercises. Moorfield said it's only being used for real fire emergencies, and even in those cases, we are treating it as a spill response. We're collecting and trying to make sure it doesn't get into the environment further, she said. Moorfield and Congress had allocated additional monies for cleanup sites. We are all trying to get our hands on this, trying to make sure we can get appropriate funding to move forward and take care of our cleanup responsibilities. Congress introduced legislation earlier this year that would require the EPA to set new limits for PFAS by 2021 and 2022. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I guess the takeaway from this article is, like I said in the beginning, is I think that everyone should have a filtration system at their home. Preferably, my preferred filtration system is a reverse osmosis system. All right, because it takes pretty much everything out of the water. Yes, it takes the minerals and things out of the water, but I would rather substitute minerals back into the water than to take the chance of drinking water that comes from the city or from wherever, where you're being told that that water is good and it's really not good. And the only way you're going to know that your water that you're drinking is good is if you filter your own water and then have it tested, or test it yourself to make sure that it's good to drink. So that's it for today's, ladies and gentlemen. Short article here. I hope you guys are having a good week. It's Thursday already, huh? This week has passed by pretty quick. I've been pretty busy this week, actually, and not really looking forward towards the weekend because I have a lot of work to do this weekend in and around my yard, and I have to finish putting up some siding. So, but it's going to come and go, and we're going to get done what we need to get done. So having said that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for stopping by. Thank you very much for all the comments. Please keep commenting. The more comments, the more thumbs up, the more shares, the more people that will be recommended our videos so that they can join our awesome community. All right. So thank you very much for those of you that are here all the time. If you're just passing by, go ahead and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. All you have to do is click the subscribe button and check out our community. I think it's a great community, and I think you will agree, all right, after having spent some time with us. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to support the channel, you know what to do. Just take a look at the links below, and any of those links don't really cost you anything. And having said that, thank you to all of you that have donated to the coffee fund or the coffee account. We already have a few dollars in there. Slow and steady wins the race. But as I told you before, the next donation is going to go to the homeless shelter here in Fairbanks. There's a big homeless shelter here in Fairbanks, and that's where our next donation is going to go to. So if you guys want to donate some of your hard-earned money to that, that's where we'll be going. For any of you that haven't heard me say this before, any and all monies that go to that coffee account, I save it up and then I use it to donate to a local community. All right. So that's you guys that do that. All right. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in again. Like I said before, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I am out.